Hello.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great day so far. And very thankful to have this opportunity to come together with these beautiful ladies here and to just impart some wisdom I've learned over the years in my 18 years of banking. I've been in many different roles over the years. Started off as a teller about 30 years ago, and then was a personal banker. Did some time as a mortgage underwriter, small business banker, and the majority of those 18 years was in management for several different companies. So I'm very happy to join Atlantic Union Bank. I moved to the Norfolk area about a year and a half ago, and they are right down the street from me. So I'm really enjoying working close to home. And being a branch manager, a part of getting business is to be part of the community, to get out and about, to meet your neighbors, to meet your business owners. So it's very important that I do live in my community. So I'm actually able to build and deepen those relationships much easier than I ever have in any other job role. So I really feel like this is going to be a great fit for me. This company is amazing. They've been around since 1902, very strong Mid-Atlantic bank. And one of our bankers, a lot of people are have these questions about small business lending. In fact, I was at a group in Portsmouth, a women's collective where they work together, and we had a gentleman named Floyd Miller there, and he's actually like the president of the Metropolitan Business League, and they just opened up a shop in Norfolk, close to my branch. And this is really important stuff. I'm going to share this with you guys later. It has nothing to do with Atlantic Union Bank, but it's about business lending where traditional banks can't help you. So we had a lady, Sarah Sheldon, was asked to do an interview with the Gloucester Gazette, and they published the interview on our intranet. So I printed it because it had some great information in there. So I gave everyone a copy, and we have extra copies here if anybody wants one, to request one from Renata. I'm just going to go over a few of the highlights. You can read it on your own. But there's some very interesting facts in here about women-owned small businesses. Nearly 13 million of our 33 million small businesses in the U.S. are owned by women. And the reports show that we have been the driving force behind America's economic rebound from COVID. We're actually creating half of the new businesses for the third year in a row. We always knew we're the tough ones, right? So with all the women-owned small business coming up, there's questions about how do I get funds? How do I get business loans? How do I cover up front costs? How do I help my business expand and grow? It's a complicated discussion. It's overwhelming, but with preparation, this is something that can be achieved with the proper knowledge and knowing where to go. So Sarah shared with us that there are 4 key components that are very important to all business owners. And these components to having a strong business is bringing in the right people. You need to have a good business plan, being organized with your financial records, research loan requirements. Your team should be, you should have a team of professionals on your side. It should have a great accountant, an attorney, and of course, always a banker. These different professionals can give you advice on and guidance through each phase of your new business. And also at the time when you may be needing to secure a loan. No 2 lenders are the same. I've worked for 5 different banks over my career. Large banks are generally very consistent in what they expect. I do not know how credit unions work in this phase of business lending, that kind of thing. But I don't believe that they're very easy to work with, or as easier to work with the traditional banks are. So it doesn't hurt, when you're looking for lending, talk to 2 or 3 people, find out what, XYZ bank and this bank and this bank. Generally, our traditional banks are going to require pretty much the same things, with maybe a tweak here or there. So when you're looking to get a small business loan, you should have a well-drafted business plan in place. It should show your goals, strategies, and your market analysis and financial projections. This is going to help the lender see where you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. You need to have your financial records very organized, and you need to make sure they're up to date and accurate. Use your CPA accountant for this. This is a really important role there. And when you go to speak to someone about possibly getting funding for a business funding, you want to have a very well-written personal financial statement. You'll need to have 2 years tax returns for personal and for business. And you'll need to have detailed accounts receivables, and that would include updated profit and loss. So if you were to get a small business loan, say today, 2024, we would have the last 2 years personal business, and then we would have the P&L for 24 up to present date. And that's something that the accountant should be able to get up pretty easily. This second page I thought this is something that I learned today when I was reviewing this. Finding, when you're starting off with a small business, find a mentor and use your resources. There's a resource through the local Chamber of Commerce and Service Corps of Retired Executives called SCORE. So this is something you can just Google, find out your local mentors are. There are local, look for your local business development centers. Small business developmental centers will help female business owners to obtain your small woman-owned and minority-owned business certification, SWAM. And your local economic development agency will also help you provide tools for navigating your next steps in the business as a business owner. So these are like really important things to do when you're first starting out while you're trying to build who you are. So I thought this was a really great little small bit of information that kind of helped with people that are just starting out in business. So the unfortunate part of being a brand new business, that's when you need the funding the most. Hello, how are you? You like, okay, I want to get an office, I want to get staff, I want to get product. So it's like a catch-22, unfortunately, that the traditional banks will not do lending until you've been in business for 2 years. So, there's things that you can. So I do have at the end of this talk, I want to go ahead and pass these out to everyone. This is some information. I've made copies of them because I only grabbed a couple. But the Metropolitan Business League, they're in Norfolk, they're in Richmond. It's something that you can join if you like. And it gives you it gives you ways to get grants and funding that are not the traditional bank loans. So for startups or nonprofits, it's very helpful. And then the Bridging Virginia gives you also ways to get capital very inexpensively. So this is very interesting. And then the Capital Access Hub is also a way for people to get funding or low interest rate loans. I want everybody to take one of these. This has nothing to do with Atlantic Union Bank. This is just a way for you to get grants and funding when you're starting out. Yeah, you can go and give everybody one of those. So I try to keep those every time I go to talk to women-owned businesses or people that are doing startups. Another thing about, of course, any type of lending, whether it's business loans, mortgages, personal loans, credit cards. One of the questions here was, what are leading reasons why banks may not approve a loan in any of those categories? So big reasons that we see for declines, the 2 biggest reasons would be your credit score is too low or the debt to income is off. So business loans, personal loans, mortgage loans, they all have a debt to income ratio that can't be exceeded. So I'd say traditional business loan, we're going to say that your total debt to income cannot be over 45%. And that means that includes the new loan. So like when you have, the bank's going to take whatever current debt you have, whether it's rent, credit card debt, no, not power bills, utilities, but just fixed debt like car payment, a personal loan. It's going to take all those minimum payments, and then it's going to take the loan you're requesting and whatever that minimum payment is. It's going to put all those things together, and that's going to be your total debt to income. So whatever that is, most of the time it's like 45. Sometimes with a mortgage, it could be maybe 46, 47, depending on what it's going, what bank or what promotions they may have going. Credit issues, most banks tend to say 660 or higher. I've seen a few banks that may go a little bit lower than that, but that's pretty good, like target rate when you're looking at credit, 660. Business, also when you have your business, you're also going to be building a business credit score, and that is just as important as your personal credit score. Again, the catch-22 is, well, if I can't get business loan for 2 years, how am I going to build credit? Well, there are ways to do that. I actually also brought, for anybody who's a small business owner or is just interested, this is our credit card application. Basically, you scan it. But once you scan it, it gives you personal credit cards, business credit cards, or secured. So if somebody has no credit or has damaged credit and wants to build credit, you can go with the secured card rate. You can do $300 credit card. It's a credit card. You have to pay it back, but that starts to build you that positive credit back. So you just scan it. If you wanted to, what I say to all new business owners, when somebody comes to open a business checking, I say, let's get a credit card. Because that credit card, business credit card, you can do immediately because it's going to be based on your credit, but it's going to help the business. So, and when you start in 2 years and you built your 2 years of financials and you want to do business credit, where it could be, I'm going to buy a piece of equipment. I want to do a business line of credit. I want to buy a business vehicle. I want to buy a business property. So that's going to start to build your credit up. And I've done 3 business loans in the last 3 months, and they all got had really good business credit scores, which meant they didn't have to have such heavy underwriting. So it made it, because they handled their business credit so well and personal, they were able to have expedited underwriting, which is great. So, and people, do ask me about what is my business credit score? It's something that I know that the business bankers can actually pull it up when they do it. I don't know of a way for me to personally see it unless we have a loan going through, but your business credit is very similar as personal. So handle your business credit the same as you would your personal, because they're intertwined. You're the business owner, so you're intertwined with that. If you're the guarantor, and if something is negative on your credit, that's not good. Couple things about credit I learned, which is pretty neat. What happens if you have negative credit? Okay, if you have no credit, in a way that's good because you don't have anything negative. So you can get a secured credit card, say. Or when I was a kid, what I did was I went, like at 18, I went and got some store cards, like from Reed's Jewelry. I love jewelry. So I went to Reed's Jewelry. I got like a little $500 card. I got 2 or 3 like little $500 cards, and I used those, paid it back. And then like in no time, I had a 720 credit score, and it's like crazy. So, getting small little things like that, or a secured credit card, that's 300. We're going to hold that 300 while you just build your credit. In a year, apply for a unsecured. You get your 300 back. This is something that's new that I think is amazing. I looked it up. Experian has a product called Experian Boost. You probably have heard about it on the radio, TV. They talk about how you can use your utility bills to build your credit. So I don't know anything about how much it costs. I can't imagine it's crazy, but I'm sure there is a fee. But what Experian Boost does is it melds your bank accounts together, and you add your bank accounts that you use to pay your bills, and then it does load like you making your on-time payments for your utility bills and that type of thing. You can ask a renter if they would. There's something about rent that it could be added also, or like to be added to your credit bureau saying you made your payments on time. So there are some additional ways that if you're brand new, not having credit, that you can kind of get your credit up quicker. Now, if you messed up, now that's the hard part. If you messed up, if you have got some late payments. Now, let's be clear on late payments. So credit card companies are a little bit creepy in that they will charge you a late fee if you're a 1 day late. Okay, but that's not a late payment as far as the credit bureau is concerned. So that's just their way of getting some extra money from you. A late payment for anything is 30 days. So if you're 30 days past, it will be reported to the credit bureau. 60 days, 90, that's when it gets really, really sketchy. So 30 days is not good. But if you only have one, it's, you just keep making payments, and it's going to eventually, it's going to be less negative. Sometimes if it's the first one, and you don't let it go much past 30, you may be able to call the credit card company if you've never missed any others and try to get them to take that off if you pay the balance in full. Everyone should download free copies of your credit report every year. Go to annualcreditreport.com. You can get a copy of each one for free. You can print it out, look at it. You can look at your credit every day, and it will not affect it. It's only when a creditor does a hard pull. A hard pull is when you're going to look for a car or a mortgage or a personal loan or a credit card. That's a hard pull. When you get things in the mail saying you're pre-qualified for a credit card, those are not hard pulls. Those are where companies will pay for like a group that comes up as you would probably qualify for this credit card, or you would probably qualify for this home equity loan. So like we would, send out our customers say, hey, you own a home, and based on the dynamics, you probably be able to get a home equity. Let's talk about a home equity. So those are pre-qualifications. That does not mean you're going to get approved, but it's not going to be anything negative against your credit. When you do a hard inquiry, your credit will come down probably 15 to 20 points for probably a couple of months, but it will come back up. It is going to drop down a little bit. But you do need credit. So you don't want to have one credit card. You should have a couple. You should have, you should have a mixture of loans and credit cards. The most important thing to having a good credit score, and I know this because I'm in 830 right now, but I went down to like 720 or so. I mean, like 100 points when my credit card usage went over 30%. So I went through a divorce, and I had, I had a hiccup in my life. I had to start over. I had to get furniture. So what I did, I was over the 30%, and that just knocks it down. It's like that seems to be the one that is, besides negative impacts, this could be the worst. So my workaround for that was the bank I was working at, I did a personal loan. I did a 5-year personal loan, paid that balance off. Credit score went up 80 points in like 2 weeks. Because then it was a term loan. It was not revolving credit. So if you have a $1,000 credit card, you don't want to use more than 300 of it. If you use the 1,000 that month, that's fine, as long as you pay it down. You don't want to keep a balance of over 30%. So you can use up to max, but just before, when it's due, make sure you pay it down so you don't have over 30. If you find that you have a balance and you're not thinking you can pay it down soon, you can try to increase that credit card, because if you increase the limit, then it's gonna lessen the usage. But just keep in mind that doesn't give you you don't want to keep using it because you got more credit. The whole purpose of having it increase is so that you're staying below the 30%. And the credit bureau looks at all of your revolving credit. So I have 7 credit cards. I use one, my Amazon rewards point, pretty much, and maybe another one here and there. But it takes that. So if I have a $20,000 balance on my Amazon card, and the limit is 30, you're like, oh, you're way over. But then I have, say, the other 6 cards have another 40,000 in credit. So it's going to take basically all your revolving balance limits to what you're actually using. And as long as you're under 30% in that category, you're good to go there. That's something that's changed. It used to be it's lowered. It didn't used to be. It's more like, oh, it's below 40 or below. No, it's like, and it's really hard in this day and time to keep below 30 because we live paycheck to paycheck. We don't make it to the next paycheck. We got groceries and gas. Everything's gone through the roof, but our pay hasn't gone through the roof. We're not catching up. So it's not like it's easy. But at least if you know the parameters of how things work, it makes it a little bit easier to try to get through the muddy waters. If you find that you have something, if you find that when you pull your credit report, that you have something, maybe you didn't realize it. I actually realized that I had a medical bill that went to collections. And it's weird because it didn't show up when I bought my house. But when I got divorced, he was supposed to pay all the bills, and I thought he had paid it, and he didn't. In any case, it was a very large bill anyway. So we had to make the phone call. Hey, can you work with me? Can we kind of give you this and all that? So sometimes you find stuff that you didn't know you had. And I had one that I had to pay before I got my house. It was an ambulance bill, and one other one. I didn't. It was like $800. Oh my gosh, $800 to go down the road. So I just paid that ASAP. Okay, it was still a collection, but when I went to get the house, they immediately showed satisfied. So your record wipes clean every 7 years. But as you get, if you have something bad on it and it's like 5, 6, every year that goes by, it's gonna be less negative. But then it's like a driving record. It's gonna clear every 7 years. Let's see. Paying down credit balances, asking for higher limits. You could ask to be an authorized user on somebody's card. If a mate or a family member has a really high limit and they have really good credit, they have a good history. You're like, hey, I'm trying to boost my credit. Can I be an authorized signer? They don't even have to give you a card, so you're not actually going to use it. But basically, it's going to help you when their reporting comes in. It's going to help your reporting. That's a high impact thing you can do. And bring your accounts up to date as soon as possible. And working with things too. The thing is if you have, when you're pulling your credit thing, you will find errors. Finding errors is not unusual.
I got to be at 2 places at one time. I just wanted to come in because I need to hear about this. They want to get some stuff in, but I just want to.
Did you take one of these too?
Yeah, I got that.
You got that one too? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then take this. This is actually, this is Atlantic Union Bank's website. It's called Bonsai, and it's instructions on there. It gives you tutorials on everything. It has a budget, like an interaction budget maker, because I was talking about budgets too. I have a lot to talk about. I probably won't get through it all. But this little tool right there is free for everyone, and it talks about everything: credit building, budget building, everything. Okay. So I wanted to share that with everybody too. Oh no, that's all right. So make sure you're looking at your credit report every year. There could be mistakes. There could be fraud. This stuff that happens at this day and time. So I think being aware is the most important thing. Like if your bank offers online banking, use it. Check your bank every few days. It only takes a minute. When I was married, I ran 3 companies in our personal finances, and I was on the bank every day. Now we had like 60, 70 bills to pay a month, so everything was through bill pay. That's how record keeping, very important. Knowing what's coming in and what's coming out, what your balances are. If there was fraud on a debit card, I knew about it before you even posted, because I was on top of it. So just be aware. Don't, like, if I put my head in the sand and nobody's going to see me and I'm not going to get hurt. That doesn't work. So those are just some tidbits about how to fix things. Make it right as best you can. With medical things, or with anything, even with credit cards, if you find that you're in a situation where you can't, and it might be already charged off, talk to the company. Can I make payments so that you're showing that restitution is being done. My sister went through bankruptcy and she had several high credit cards, and so she went to the company and like, say one was 20, they would settle for her for like 8. So she just paid the 8 and get rid of it. So they would rather settle for part of it than not get any of it. So medical bills, I had that huge medical bill. I called the hospital and said, I currently don't have an insurance, and they did it. They took it in half, and I just paid the half. Or just set up a payment with the hospitals. They cannot put derogatory if you're making payments, even if it's only $10 a month. It's got to show you're making payments.
I've done that before.
So yeah, so that's just little tidbits. The other thing, okay. So as far as business lending and credit questions, is there anything you want me to?
I have a question here. Someone asks, what are the benefits of maintaining a business checking account with your bank compared to competitors?
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, we all have similar accounts. It's kind of like, I'm not going to say our account is the best, but I will tell you the people, we're the best, the people. I mean, I sell myself because when I leave a bank, people follow me because they want my expertise. And even if I'm not the smartest cookie in the book, I'm definitely going to be on your side and work for you. So we do have a great checking account that has no fees, gives you a lot of transactions. We, have great online banking, great business tools, business loans. We do merchant referrals. We do everything that you would need. But I think Atlantic Union Bank we're a mid-Atlantic bank. We're not small, but we're not huge. So you're not going to walk into a Truist or a Bank of America and feel like you're important. But you will feel important when you walk into Atlantic Union Bank, no matter what branch you work in. So I just think that it's the people, So I would just sell myself because, I mean, I worked at Bank of America, I worked at RBC, and I worked at SunTrust, and I was a great employee at all those banks, But I'm at Atlantic Union right now, and we're a great bank. I actually really like this bank. I actually do. I really enjoy them. I think they're a great team. I think they got a great, we've got 2 years in a row, we've gotten the award for best workplace. So the employee surveys are good. You're never going to have complete satisfaction. This doesn't happen. But the surveys are good. People feel like the employees feel like we're listened to. The higher ups care. I love my manager. I've been at jobs where you cringe when they call you or they come by, and I don't. I call them in a heartbeat if I need them. So I just think that we're a great bank. We have great products, and I think we have a great team. But for me, I'm selling me to be the best at. I'm there for people. And I like the referral thing too. Every time I open a business account, I give them my cards. I say, if they need a contractor and you're a contractor, I'm going to give them your card. But hey, if they need a home equity loan, let them know if they need it. I like to talk to people, refer between people. So at any moment of time, somebody comes to me, I can give them a plumber, a contractor, a concrete guy, a banker, a landscaper. See, you know what I mean? You talk to people, you know their names, you make each other's businesses grow.
Exactly.
And you don't do that except through rapport and getting to know people. Was there another?
Yeah. Is anybody in here? I don't want to hold it. Are there opportunities? I already know this answer, but are there opportunities for partnerships or sponsorship with your organization?
Yes. So this information I was giving gives you additional ways to get funding and grants. So what you have to realize is that every bank is federally obligated to have a certain amount of money that to be given to grants, sponsorships. And we have to give a certain amount towards certain areas, like Community Reinvestment Act and certain things, education for moderate to low income tracks. So when the banks give their money out, because you got to realize there's going to be 100,000, people asking, and maybe we can only give 20,000, make them say yes. So they're really going to look at, does this fit in the bucket to, helping the community? We do. Ours is aubcares.com, and you go in there. We're not has the website, and it's a 501 nonprofit. You go in there and you can fill out your information, what kind of sponsorship you're looking for, about your event or about what your goal is. And I know they ask for certain paperwork when you're a nonprofit, but you put that in, and then if you have a relationship with the banker, you let them know that, hey, I put my request in. And then I can go to our community investment team and say, hey, can you take a look at this? And then, at least they will have somebody looking through the pile. But every bank, Bank of America, Truist, Town Bank, they all have a community website that you can go to for sponsorships. So I say the best thing is probably the beginning of the year to try to ask for them, because that they gotta be depleted pretty quickly after that. But yes, all banks do have that, but they are really going to be looking for those people that are requesting for things that are going to improve the community around us, because that's our obligation to do that, to make sure we're making the world around us a better place. And this section of stuff here is like an additional over the top, because this stuff here is where you can get funding like at really good interest rates. And I think it was the Capital Access Hub. In any case, it was a really, that gentleman that came in and talked, it was very eye-opening that this stuff is out there, which I'm so happy it is. And it's really awesome that there's a local hub in Norfolk, and then there's one in Richmond, the Metropolitan Business League. And then inside, there's another one where you can scan the QR code and learn about how to be a member. But I just know those are some great opportunities. I took like every one of his cards, and I've been making copies of them because I'm like, I want to give them out, but I don't. So, okay, anything?
Do you guys have any questions?
No.
Do you already went to that tools and resources? Nope, that's it.
Okay. So, all right. So I am going to give everybody one of these also. This is Atlantic Union Bank website. We have a section called Bonsai, where I gave her one already, where you can go in there and just choose whatever subject you want to get more knowledge on. The budget bank.
Spell that? BONSAI?
Yeah. Let's see. Here, I'll give you one. BANSZAI.
Oh, BANS.
Here you go. And so this is where you can go in. I actually went in there. I did the budgeting one. It's interactive. You type it in at the end. It'll tell you did well, or you need to change this or change that. It talks about, again, some of the things like building credit. It talks about like, you want to buy a house. There's just a lot, and it's a free tool. It's really nice, and you can just choose whatever you want to learn about, because we don't all have the same things we need to The last thing I was going to go over was budgeting. In this day and time, we already know that cost of living has gone through the roof, but our paychecks are not keeping up with it. We're also in a world where there's a lot of subscriptions out there, and there's a lot of ways to get wrapped up in a lot of, or you're getting nickel and dime out of a lot of little things. You're not keeping track of it, and all of a sudden you're like, why is my paycheck not, why am I not making it to the next paycheck, and how am I gonna get food? That kind of stuff. So everyone in this room we're old school. I'm sure we all are very familiar with bank register. This is the most amazing thing. I'm sorry, but I never overdrafted my account in my life because I use this little thing, and you keep it with you in your wallet. Unless you have like a huge bank account where you know that anything can come in and out and you're fine, right? That's fine. There's people that have that. But if not, when you get paid, you put your paycheck in. When you go to 7-Eleven, swipe your debit card, write it in. Even if you don't have time right then to do your subtraction, don't worry about it. $20 to 7-Eleven. Oh, and then, the 5th, my power bill is scheduled to come out for $25. You write it down, and then it says after you do your deductions, it says you have $350 left. But when you look at your bank account, it says you have $850. Which one is right? This one. Because even though debit cards, people have this idea that when you swipe your card, it's immediately taken out. It's not. It depends on the merchant. It could be taken out right that second. It could be taken out 2 days later. It could be a hold on it for a minute until, like maybe if Amazon, they're not going to actually charge you until they ship it. And so the thing is if you already earmarked that money for something, you need to write it in there. And bills that are coming out, if you have a bill set for auto pay, when it gets close to that, you're coming down and it's the 2nd, and you have a bill coming out the 5th, go ahead and write it in there, because it's gonna come out. You want to make sure you have enough money in there. Back in the day when I was like really living paycheck to paycheck, I wrote my budget. Everything was written out. I got paid twice a month. 1st and 15th or 15th and 30th, however it works out. About the same, really. And I would say these bills are due on the 15th paycheck. I know that XYZ bills are going to be due between that 2-week period. I know I need $150 for groceries for that 2 weeks. I know I need $80 for gas. And so what I did was the day I got paid, I paid those bills that were going to be due right away. I didn't wait until they were due. I just went in and paid them. I went to the grocery store, got my groceries for 2 weeks. I had put my $80 cash in my purse for my gas. And then guess what? It was gone, but my bills were paid.
Right.
And I just didn't spend anymore. And I had no problem. I ate well. I had gas in my car. I didn't have anything negative. But what happens is if you're not keeping good records, you think you have more money than you have, then you go and spend $40 on a pizza, thinking you have extra money. Guess what? That pizza just cost you by having overdrafts because now you didn't pay your power bill. So record keeping is the most important thing. That's it, of anything. Keep an eye on your online banking and make sure that things are posting correctly and not double posted but really writing it down. Your register right here tells you how much money you have because your bank account fluctuates throughout the day. You have one hard posting balance a day. At night, when everything that you've done through the day posts. So you're going to wake up and it's going to say that's your balance. But as you use your debit card or make automatic payments or pay by phone, that available balance is going to change all throughout the day. So this might seem old school to people, but this is paramount. If you're not going to do a register, keep an eye on your mobile banking, look at it daily, make sure you're keeping, but if you're someone who's super tight with a budget, take the time to keep a register.
That's what my mom did.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like if you just write in there what you did throughout the day, when you get home, then you can go and do your calculations. Like, don't have to be like so dramatic about it, but like if you don't write it down, like as soon as you get in the car, then you're not going to remember. But when you get home, you're like, I need to go ahead and do my add my addition and subtractions, so I know what my balance is for tomorrow to make sure I'm doing good. So budgeting, when I did a budget for my parents, they lived in a little trailer in Florida and they had Social Security only. And my mother liked to shop. She didn't need any more clothes. I think she had, 5 closets of clothes. My dad would say, why is she shopping? And then they were like, why can we not pay our bills? And I'm going, okay, let's sit down. I wrote what their bills were, how much their medication was, and all that. And they had so much money left over. Like she really couldn't believe she had this much money. So then I said, so instead of spending it, you need to start putting half of this amount in your savings account. And they called me in like 4 or 5 months and they're like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe how much money I have in my savings account now. But it's like she saw, but also she thought more about, okay, I don't need to go buy this dress. She thought about it because she, instead of just randomly swiping or writing checks. So I've always believed in budgets.
I have a question. Well, not me, but what types of identification does the person need if they have a criminal background, or is it the same forms of ID?
It's the same forms. You can use to open accounts, Virginia driver's license or a driver's license or a state ID, unexpired, of course, and a passport. Those are your 3 main things: military ID, alien resident card. And as far as your social, you can have a social or you can have a tax ID number. So if you're in the country and you have a visa to work and they give you a tax ID number, you can still open an account. But you also have to have valid proof of residence. So if your ID does not show the physical address where you live, you have to bring in a piece of mail with your physical address. We do not accept P.O. boxes. As an alternate address, yes, but we have to have a physical address and we have to have it, proof of it. That's part of the government laws.
Residential. What if they live in like a efficiency or somewhere like that?
Yeah, see, I've had this happen. I don't really have an answer. I mean, if they're getting mail, if they're able to get mail at the efficiency, then show that they're allowed to get mail there. They would just bring something like that.
Okay.
And like maybe they could pick it up at the office. but as long as they get some type of mail there. I've had people, not have their driver's license changed over, but they have their Dominion Power bill changed over, and they'll pull their account online up and they'll show where their Dominion Power and their new address. I accept that. Same as paper, it's electronic. But something, it's got to be something like that. There's so many audits and stuff like that. And the biggest thing with anti-terrorism and stuff is IDs, OFAC, which, and physical address. I mean, just making sure we verify the main stuff. Prevent people from getting their identity stolen. Prevent people from just randomly changing their addresses, because people will do that. They will try to get somebody's information and then say, "Oh, I moved," and change somebody's real customer's address, and so they get their bills, or get their account numbers or their checks, that kind of stuff. And another thing that I've noticed is there's a lot of fraud in the check writing department area. People are stealing mail like you would not believe. They're paying mailmen. Oh, give you $1,000 to give me a handful of your mail. They're stealing out of mailboxes. If you don't have to write a check, don't write a check. If you write a check and give it to someone, that's fine. Putting something in the mail right now, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. You can call the company and give them the account number and do a pay by phone. You can use your debit card. When you put a check in the mail right now, they're washing checks, they're reprinting checks with your information. So it seems to be the thing right now, the check thing. So I would say caution as far as writing paper checks and mailing them. So,
Another question. Are there any specific types of accounts recommended for someone with a background?
no, my recommendation, if you're dealing with very limited funds and you're working on building credit and all that, to make sure you opt out of any bank's overdraft services. The banks will, in some instances, allow you to overdraw your account. The bank makes money. You don't. You end up not buying food because you've just spent $120 on overdraft fees. So always opt out. Don't let yourself get into a situation where you can overdraw your account. Don't use your debit card to set up reoccurring payments, because those are one instance that even if you've opted out of overdraft, it can cause an overdraft, because it's a reoccurring. It's not a one-time swipe that we can refuse. So get an account with no minimum balance, no monthly maintenance fees. Make sure that that bank has a great online banking app, mobile, so you can keep an eye on your what you have in there. Just be really careful. And just make sure you don't have any external fees. Make sure you're keeping all your money. And keep good records. Make sure you get registered.
Can a person open an account with Atlantic Union Bank if they have a negative banking history? Something check
Systems.
Mm-hmm.
It maybe. Every bank uses check systems. It's just a way of knowing if you've had a lot of closed accounts in the negative. If you've had accounts that were charged off and you owe $100 or $1,000, it'll show if you repeatedly overdraft. It'll show if you have possible account abuse or fraudulent type behavior. So just having an account that was in the negative is not necessarily going to keep you from opening an account, as long as you satisfy it. So if you had an account at Bank of America and you were $50, it charged off, you owe $50, you go to there, you pay that off. They're going to tell check systems it's satisfied. So when we pull it up, we'll say it was charged off, but it's satisfied. In that case, you'll probably be okay with it. And the events we won't probably open it is if it's a lot of charge-offs that were not paid off, and if there's like account abuse, where there was so many overdrafts, like some people were trying to kite checks between accounts, were writing fake checks from one account to another and then using the money before it actually is collected. When those types of behaviors are ascertained, then. But as far as a regular just making a mistake and having an account closed, just go to that institution and make it right, and you will probably be all right.
Last question. Do you offer financial literacy or re-entry programs? Do you offer financial literacy or re-entry programs?
Well, we're doing that right now. Yes, we do. I'm always available to speak to people. I am available. It's my passion to help people. So I have a soft spot for women, and especially women of domestic violence and that type of thing, because I came out of that situation. And I had to make a dime turn into, a dollar. In any case, I've been to the ups and downs like everyone. So I'm very committed. I'm not married. I have 2 dogs. I have time to help. So I'm definitely here for virtual, I really prefer face-to-face. But yeah, I'm here. I'm available to go to schools, talk to kids. I've done that before. Teach them the basics of check writing and the basics of how things work. And yes, if you put that information in Bonsai, that is free. Anybody can go to that Atlantic Union Bank website /Bonsai, and it's got probably 20 or 30 different things you can go in there. The simplest little things: how to build credit, how to write a budget, how to buy a house. So yes, that's definitely there. Take advantage of that.
This is a question for us. We have been trying to connect with someone. We've had people to promise us that they will come in and speak about the program for first-time home buyers, where there's a grant.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys offer that workshop or that class?
Not that I know of. We have mortgage representatives that I could share when I get back. I could share her information with you tomorrow. She's very nice. She actually is on your side of the water. She probably would be open to having a first time. I know that every bank I've ever worked at has always promoted their first time home buyer program. And at Dollar Bank, they would have a couple of days. They had like an event for a couple of days where we just talked about that. But Erin Persetto, I can get you her information. I also let her know that I'm working with you guys. But I really feel that she'd be glad to do a little workshop, because teaching the community, teaching people in general how things work. I didn't buy a house. I'm in my 50s. I didn't buy my house until I was 51 because it was very scary. I mean, my husband was wealthy, so he had a house, but I never owned a house. So like when I left, I'm renting. And I was visually like, oh, it's so scary. And I've been working in the bank for 18 years. You think it wouldn't be scary, But I sat down with the lady and I was like, this is not scary. I mean, I was able to get grants, first time home buyer grants. And I was able to not have to put so much money down. And, these programs either offer no PMI or limited PMI. They either offer 0% down or 3%. Our STAR program, it does offer 0 if your credit is above a certain thing, maybe 720. I think if you're below 720, it's 3%. But 3% is still very, very good. So different banks have different. Again, I say, check. Always check 1 or 2 or 3. When I get an estimate for my house, I get 3. But there's different grants out there. When I got my house, I got 2 grants. One for low to moderate income, and one for low to moderate housing. So there's lots of stuff out there. But yeah, Erin, I'm sure will do a workshop. It's a good idea. Just try to get, like I would say, get as big of a group you can together, and that way that she's making the best use of her time and everybody else's time. But I'm sure that can happen.
What is PMI?
PMI, I was going to explain that because unfortunately us bankers, we use acronyms. PMI is private mortgage insurance. And anytime you don't put 20% down, you're going to have it. Most people don't put 20% down. Unfortunately, my sister, when she bought her house, she didn't realize there was these things out here, these first-time home buyer programs. So she stuck with PMI. And it could be 80, it could be 120 a month. It's a decent amount of money. And it's every month until you get below 80%. So on your loan to value. Now, if your value has gone up, because say sometimes you buy a house and in 2 or 3 years, it's really gone up higher, where your loan to value has lowered, you can actually reach out to the mortgage company and say, hey, based on my new value and the loan amount, I'm actually below. Can you take it off? And they'll take it off. But it's an extra amount of money. Now, the first time home buyer programs, depending, if you go with a bank that may give you maybe 2 grants, they might give you unlimited. So like instead of it being $80 a month, it might be $30. If you go with a bank that you maybe only get one grant from, it may be no PMI. But that's whatever program you choose, they'll let you know what that is. But it's definitely either no or a lot less. So that's a savings there. And the STAR program with Atlantic Union Bank, and it works for the home equity loans and the first mortgages, the 0% down, and it also gives you a little bit of leeway with credit score. So it lets you go below our normal 660. So it's a good program.
It's a combination question. I don't see it up here, but I do know somebody that's in this situation, and we had talked about it, thought they were gonna be here. They asked, do you have to have an account with Atlantic Union Bank in order to get loans, or any type of funding? Additionally, they also wanted to know, let's say, for example, someone wants to buy a truck, or they want to buy something tangible for their business. Is that something, or is it only for like brick and mortars? Can they get a loan for a truck or a food truck, a kitchen, a dump truck, or something like that?
You don't have to have a checking account to get a car loan or to get a personal loan or a credit card. We prefer you do, because we'll give you a 0.25% discount if you get a loan with us. A business loan, yes, we do want you to have your business with us. We're going to look at how you run your checking account. We want your checking account with us for a business loan. We do business equipment loans. We do business vehicle loans. We do real estate secured business loans that are kind of like an equity loan. We do business unsecured loans. But the business loans are maybe not buying a piece of equipment. That might be a standalone something. But a lot of our business loans, we're going to prefer that you have but I did open, like the one business line of credit, I opened your checking account like a week after she did the loan. Because I just told them, I said, she just had a baby. She's not coming until next week, So it's not like they're like, oh, you have to have it before we close it. It's preferred to have it. But yes, you can do standalone products, most lending products, personal loan, a truck, credit card,
What would that be called? I don't know so what would the dump truck loan be called?
Well, dump truck, it would be a vehicle or equipment.
Okay.
Dump truck would probably be a vehicle loan. Equipment loan would probably be like a backhoe.
Mm-hmm.
What about a food truck? Is that
food truck is going to be it's going to have its own parameters, but it's probably going to be vehicle. It's a truck. It's an embellished truck.
Mm-hmm.
But people do definitely do those, and that's again where you want to make sure you have your business plan. How are you going to make this? How are you going to pay for this truck? How are you going to make it work? So that's having your ducks in order with your business plan, your budgets, your accounting is very important, and having a great personal credit score too is going to help.
All right. Do you guys have any other?
I have a question. It was pertaining to the credit.
Uh-huh.
What is the soft hit? Because I've heard that too. I heard the hard. I know what the hard is. You explained, but it's soft.
Yeah, a soft hit is like when you go to, I believe, like when you go to rent a place, they might just do a soft hit where they just make sure that you're not delinquent or have bad rental history.
Mm-hmm.
When they do the pre-qualification things, those are things that are negative. That's like soft hits. They just where a business would say, I want to know like my area who I want to send pre-qualified credit card offers to. Another thing to keep in mind with credit, if you're buying a house or a car, this is a perfect example. If you're buying a house or a car, you're probably going to go look at 2 or 3 different banks. So you get a dealership, they're probably going to run it through, like, okay, we're going to run it through our 3 banks we use, we'll see which one gives us a better offer. Or if you're buying a house, I mean, I went through 2 different mortgage companies to get pre-approval, and then I saw what they both had to offer, and then I chose one. In a 30-day period, if your credit is hard pulled for the same type of thing, it's going to be considered one. So that 30 days, when I did those 2 hard hits on to look for a pre-approval for a mortgage, it considered 1 because it was for 1 type of thing. They knew that I was comparing. A car loan, if you need to check banks for 3 car loans for rates, it's within 30 days, it's going to be considered 1 hard hit. But not a credit card. If you apply for 3 or 4 different credit cards, it's going to be, that's not like that. But like, they're like, if you're comparison shopping for a truck or an RV, that kind of thing, within that 30 days, they're going to say, okay, they're just doing some comparison shopping. And a negative is if you try to apply for too much credit in a short amount of time. I literally had someone come in and to try to do that, and the credit score was great. So like when I first looked at it, oh, that might be great. But this person opened like 10 new accounts in 6 months. So they were obviously like in trouble. And then the thing is, once all those new accounts come where you're going to start making minimum payments, are you going to actually be able to make those payments? So the bank has to look at a lot of different things when they do lending. How much revolving you have, how much, personal, how much secured, how are you using it, how your repayment is. This is a lot of different things. So there's like a percentage of how much unsecured you can have. So like I might put in a personal loan for $20,000, and they might come back and say, well, based on what other revolving credit, we can only do $14,000. So it's all those. I don't know all those. I have not been an underwriter for a while, but it's all very relative, and it makes sense. It really does make sense. You wouldn't want us not to have those things in place because you wouldn't be able to pay your bills or afford things. If you were to be able to buy that $100,000 car when you can only afford a $60,000 car, do you want it to be repossessed and have ruin your mess? You really, even when I bought my house, they told me I could go 30,000 higher. When I was looking at my budget and looking at the payment, I was like, no, I can't. It's much nicer houses out there with that extra 30,000. So I got something very small and a lot less, but it was something that I felt I could make that mortgage payment with. And I just don't think being house poor. I want to eat good food. I want to, I don't want to eat ramen every day. So, I think living within your means, I had to learn that because I went from a very fancy lifestyle where money was not an option to living paycheck to paycheck again. It's just, you have to like not be proud and just like, this is my situation, and it doesn't matter what it was last week. This is what it is today. And I need to make sure that I keep myself safe and healthy. And, I think one reason I'm happy now is I'm not creating additional stress. I can pay my bills because I don't have to live in a fancy house. But I took this little house, and you know what I did? I made it look the best I could, so go out and do a little work in the backyard and make it pretty, do a little. So it's like, it doesn't matter. It just, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks either. What matters is keeping yourself safe, and you're going to pay your bills and put food on the table.
Is now a good time to refinance?
No. No. We're at a high end. Okay, so right now is a good time to invest in CDs and stuff like that. But rates are getting ready to go down for lending. So the CD rates will drop a little, or could drop a little bit. So 2 years ago, when they were at 3.5, 4, everybody refinanced, everybody bought houses. But then the CD rates were like 0.5%, 1%. So then now they have to do this periodically. They go up, I think in my house was 6.25. And I was doing a comparison today because I'm crazy. Like my one friend bought her house and she got hers at 3.5%. Mine was at 6.4. And I was literally over that 30-year period going to pay $135,000 more in interest based on the 2 separate different interest rates. She got 3.5. Her payment was $1,200. My payment was $1,640. And because of this difference, $135,000 more because of it. So the time to invest is now. Like if you have extra money for CDs, when the rates go back down, they'll probably never go back to where they were. But say I have a 6.5 mortgage rate. Next year or two, if it goes down to like 4, 4.5, yeah, that's when we're all going to refinance. But right now we're still in the 6s or 7s in the rate. So that shouldn't mean if you're ready to buy a house, you can still buy a house, because you got to just kind of go with the ebbs and flow. I was going to still buy a house, even though it was 6%, but then you're keeping an eye on it. And when they go lower, you refinance. Now, you also want to make sure When you buy a home, you always do bi-monthly payments. It's making half a payment every 2 weeks. So you're making 2 extra payments a year, and you're going to cut 8 years off a 30-year mortgage.
Say that one more time. Hold on. I need that for myself.
So having a mortgage is most important when you first get a mortgage, because loans are very heavily interest loaded in the beginning. My mortgage payment, $1,640, $300 went to escrows, $100 went to principal, $1,100 went to interest. It would be like that for probably the next 5-6 years. Any amount of additional principal payment you can make at the initial years of the loan is going to cut so much time off of your loan. So doing bi-weekly, you're going to make 2 extra payments a year. That's going to save you 7 to 8 years off a 30-year mortgage. Imagine doing 3 or 4 extra payments a year the first few years, how much you're going to drop off of, as many extra payments as you can make the initial years, but always making extra principal payments. But if you set it up the bi-weekly, you're not going to notice it because of how we have 28 days and 31 days and that kind of stuff. So you're going to pay your $1,200 payment every month. Well, this is taking that $1,200, turning it into $600 every 2 weeks. So you're going to have a little bit, some extra payments made, but in your mind, it's going to be easier to budget because it's every 2 weeks to half a payment. So it manages to get you that extra payment in there where you don't feel like I just dropped an extra $1,200, an extra $1,200. Yeah. If you can, set the bi-weekly up, if you maybe decide that you want to do an extra $100 a month too, any little additional thing, especially in the beginning, and any loan is like that. So when I did that personal loan to get my credit score back up because I was too high on the revolving, that was great. But then I got a home equity loan on my house. But at that point, the home equity was a better option because even that personal loan helped me with my credit score. It was front loaded high on the interest rate. So I went and paid it off of my home equity. And so it's like finances are something you have to change all the time. You have to readjust them every so often based on your needs. And even as a banker, like sometimes I missed it. Like, why didn't I use my equity to pay that off sooner? I mean, it wasn't that long of a period. But it's like, I could have saved this much money because even though that personal loan was better than the credit card, it's still very heavily front loaded in interest, even though it was only 5 years. So it was still the right thing for me to do at the time, but then it was right for me to move it to something else at that time. Because having no home equity, then I still was under my 30%. Yeah, okay, was under 30%.
So when you say do bi-weekly payments, when you say the initial years, are you saying like if I have a 30-year loan, are you saying how many years?
Well, you should do bi-weekly for the whole time of the loan. You should
okay.
Because it's gonna save you. Do it, just do it immediately. But I'm saying is, if you're a brand new homeowner, don't let a day go by because those first few years are so heavily impacted. And the quicker you can get some of that interest paid. I mean, I was all crying paying $1,640 and I'm only $100 is only going toward. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, no wonder it's 30. It's a long 30 years. And I did the calculation. It's just crazy when you think about how much you're actually in the interest rate environment. You're actually going to pay more in interest over 30 years than you actually pay for your house. Yeah. So anyway, it's just something to keep an eye on.
That is amazing.
And same with business loans.
Any loan like that. I was paying extra toward that personal loan too. I was like, oh yeah, let me go add this extra. Let me throw it out. Oh, let me go and move to the home equity. But anything, if your payment's $400, make it $450. Because when you write your budget, like you look at what you have to have, and we didn't get into that. But go to the website and go through that budget tutorial. But it really important to write out your hard bills, what you have to pay: rent, mortgage, car payment, credit card bills. Food is non-negotiable. Gas is non-negotiable. They say cell phone is non-negotiable. Not really in certain jobs, but so you have to really say what your hard costs are. And then you have your wants are. Wants is getting a pizza, Netflix, going to the movies, going out to eat, buying a new pair of shoes. Those are all wants. Now, if you only have one pair of tennis shoes, then you work in the construction, that might be a need for that month. You might have to get a new pair of tennis shoes. But really taking the time to putting out what your hard costs are, what your wants are, and then taking your money after taxes. Because now the crazy thing is when you get a loan, they use your gross income. But when you're doing a budget, you got to do what you're bringing home,
Yeah.
what you have. And then once you kind of break it up and you say, I have 200 every 2 weeks for groceries, but you've been spending 300. Well, guess what? You're gonna have to figure out how to get that down to 200. But at least you can work with something. You're like, okay, well, what have I been buying? Maybe you've been buying a lot of pre-made meals, or maybe you've been buying, maybe a lot of organic stuff that's higher priced. Maybe I need to shop at Walmart instead of Harris Teeter. I look at the ads all the time. I love my grocery list and I know where to shop. I Costco and I go to Harris Teeter for this one that's on sale. I go to Walmart for this one that's on sale. I do my 3 places. I go to Dollar Tree, love my Dollar Tree, cleaning supplies. All kinds of stuff. So anyway, you got to make sure you're paying your bills. And the wants, I'm sorry, maybe you should have 1 streaming service instead of 5. Because you got to make sure you're paying your bills.
And it's funny that you say that because I was a person that growing up in Manhattan in New York, I didn't care, and even now I was a person never had credit cards, I paid everything cash because I was the type of person I knew it was mine. So like maybe 2014, 2016, I co-signed for a vehicle for my daughter, my youngest daughter. When I started, I always was like a travel aide. So when the pandemic hit, I got stuck in Virginia. So I was like, okay, you got to get a job. So I ended up working for Community Service Boards. That's where I work now. So in the process of that, they were still garnishing my check for the repo. So they told me that they sold the car. So my perspective was, once they sold the vehicle, I was responsible for what was remaining. It was like they were constantly like maybe August to maybe December, I would get like an email from payroll, like, we're gonna start garnishing your check again, 75%. So they did that for like maybe 3 years. And then I was like, you know what? Let me call these people and try to work something out. So I was paying them $200 every 25th of the month. Just recently, it reoccurred again. It popped up in my payroll. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to court with this. I seen Hampton. I said, let me just slide through the court, get the court and everything. The judge I was like, ma'am, from 2014 to now, this car is paid for. Y'all was taking money out of my check and I was paying y'all. This car was paid for. She said, no. She says they charge you 24% every day.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Listen,
I said, you know what?
See, this is what I'm like. So that's, to me, that's predatory.
Yes.
And because I just did 10 hours of compliance training about stuff about how we have so many regulations now to prevent predatory lending and stuff. But that's a predatory practice because if you've gotten yourself in trouble and they've already taken your car and you're paying for something you don't have, but they're making it so that it doesn't matter because everything you're paying is going to interest and it's not catching the principal.
And that's what I told the attorney because the judge was like, it doesn't matter, Ms. Gadsden. She was like, the bottom line is you have this interest. I said, ma'am, but what I'm trying to tell you, I'm not saying I feel I paid for the car. I just can't prove that I paid for the car. But I believe in my heart I paid for the car. I said, but from 2014 to now, with y'all garnishing my check and plus me paying y'all, there is no way this car is not paid for.
So my recommendation in retrospect is if you get a situation where you're like, okay, this is not going away and they're probably going to garnish my wage or something, reach out to them personally. How much do I owe? What can we settle for?
And
the
that's
lump
exactly
sum
what I
because
did,
if
was
you
in the court.
but if you'd been able to, well, even like I said, we don't know, right? This is a learning experience because it's like, hey, you didn't know you were going to go through it.
Yes.
But if you had known in 2016 or whatever it was repossessed for 14 to like maybe not do it the first year, but like wait a year, because they don't want to. They might not do they might not help you like the first year. Oh no, but like okay, we really do want our money. I'm in a hardship. I did co-sign for my daughter. I want to help, but can we come to a deal? Can we come to an arrangement? Can I make payments directly? Can we like cut this interest off? It's like the hospital bill. Like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to pay this.
Yes.
So can we? Yeah, okay, I can pay it if you can give me half off, and something like that. But that way, you're cutting that interest off. You're like, I owe you $5,000. Okay, but then if you're 24% interest a day, you're never gonna ever pay that down.
That pissed me off because once I got the paperwork, the interest was more than the actual money. And I was like, sir, he was like, Regina, I understand the frustration. I said, sir, you can take it any way you want. At this point, I don't care, but in my heart, I feel like you are getting over on me. That's the way I feel.
That was a loan that was never going to be paid off. It was never going to be paid off.
So what I did, I bought it from Priority in Newport News. But when I went to Priority is closed. They are closed down. So by this time, I'm really like furious. So I told the attorney, I said, sir, I said, you know what? I said, y'all will not get any more money from me. I said, you need to give me a price and you need to let me know what I need to do to eliminate Central Atlantic. Totally, because I can't deal with y'all.
Yeah.
I'm fed up and I don't know what all this means, but in my heart, I feel like y'all ripping me off. So what do I need to do today to settle this? He was like, you gotta give us $6,000. I said, $6,000? I said, you know what, sir? I will be to your office tomorrow. When I went, but the catch was, he didn't take no cash. He didn't take no credit cards. Only thing he wanted was a cashier's check. So I went to the bank, got the cashier's check. But when I got to Virginia Beach to present them with the check, I told the lady, I said, I need you to put it in writing because what she did, she gave me paperwork stating that it was paid off. I said, ma'am, I need you to specifically put that y'all will not be in my email no more. This debt is settled. I said, and I need a copy of that check. She had an attitude. Why should I give you a copy of the check? When you bought the check, didn't they give you a receipt? I said, I didn't ask you that. I asked you for a copy of the check. I said, so you could do one or two things. You could give me the check back. I will go make a copy and then I will be back to you. The choice is yours, but I want a copy of the check. Why is it so difficult?
Yeah.
So now I've been like constantly checking because when the main 3 holidays come, that's when they pop up.
Oh, wow.
For the garnishment. So the lady was like, Regina, being that we put the garnishment out there, she said, you can call us in November and then we could put you back on the payment plan. No. So I specifically told the lawyer, with me giving you this $6,000 today, does that mean I have no more of y'all? No more. The car, because I was so frustrated to whereas I was like, sir, where's the vehicle at? Because I own the vehicle. Personally,
Like,
where's the car? Because at this point, I don't bought 5 cars from y'all. So where's my vehicle at? Because I own it now. But it was just really mind-boggling because in my heart, I feel I paid for the car.
Oh yeah.
I just can't prove that I paid for the car. And with the interest. So that's why, like you said, when y'all talk about interest, it's like, right here, like, you gotta be careful
Yes.
at all times because now that I've been through that, the interest is like ringing a bell to me. And it's like playing on the mental, like I have to watch it. Like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, what do I do?
That's why they changed some regulations over the last several years. You've noticed that when you get a credit card statement, they have to say, if you pay minimum payment, it'll take you 25 years to pay. Because they're promoting, just to make your minimum. Because if you only make your minimum payment, guess what, man? You're never touching your principal. So now they have to tell you if you make your minimum payment, it's gonna take you. If you make this much payment, it's gonna take you. Because they want people to be aware of, because not everybody it just has that understanding of it, and we. Especially when we're young. When we're young, man, I had a new car every 3 years. Guess what?
Yes.
That was ridiculous. I always had negative equity, and I was paying higher car payments because I wanted a fancy new car, right? When you're young, you want nice, bright, shiny things. So you go and they say, oh, we're going to get you 90-day savings cash, or we're going to do these weird things. You're like, oh, I just want it. And then when reality comes in, you're like, no. So they're trying to make the verbiage where people have better understanding. It's like, hey, you don't want to do this. you want to make more than your minimum payments. You don't want to live off a credit card. If you use your credit card, you really need to think about it.
Yes.
That's emergency fund. Or like how I'd use mine is my Amazon card. I pay every bill on that, all the menu power, HRSD, everything. And then I just make 2 credit card payments a month,
Wow.
but then I get the rewards and I have my itemized list.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you said, I'm learning. It took me until I got old, but I'm there now because I'm like, I got to do that.
Well, I mean, I don't really know how much education they give you in school about basic banking. My nephew's 14 and he actually was going through a really cool little financial class where they were learning, doing stuff online and learning and writing stuff up. But I don't remember in my day and age them really.
Back then,
They didn't. They didn't.
And back then, I didn't grow up with learning finances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I learned when I had my children.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, you gotta make a way.
Yeah.
These are your kids.
So, I mean, many of the years I've been a branch manager, I mean, a lot of the time at my office, just somebody comes in without understanding, I would pull out a register and I just do a fake register. Show, let's practice, let's do it. But financial education, just one at a time is what I've done. It's just, hey, let me just give you some tips and tricks.
Yeah.
Because I just have that mind that it makes sense to me. But then my younger sister, it didn't. So I had to really work with her and coach her over the years to get her where her credit was good, where she stopped having overdrafts, where now she's doing really excellent. But even though we have the same blood,
Right.
it just, my mind just took the organization into finance, so you shouldn't feel negative that if it doesn't come naturally, because if it's not taught to us, and it's just not taught to us. But that's why the bankers are there. They're there because when you go to work for a bank, that's what we are taught. So then we're taught so that we can share that knowledge and share how things work. So that's part of our, our duty. So yeah.
Wow. Any other questions or anything? Woo! Listen, I don't know about you guys, but I really feel like we need this class at the conference.
We do.
I do too.
We do. And people really need to be taught.
Yes.
They do. They need to be taught because people don't know.
We don't know.
They don't know.
We have a a credit class that we do at the conference, but I think this is hand in glove, and this will be perfect because it's so in depth. It teaches so much. There was so much information that I had never heard, and this is like my 4th or 5th house. And I promise you, this one is like really killing me. You know what I mean? Because I'm living off of a retiree, income right now. So I'm not able to help my husband or anything. So our budget is very tight. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think this was an amazing class. So much information. I wish more people were in here, but we did have a lot of feedback and we had questions and stuff. I don't know why my personal page questions don't show here, nor does Instagram. So just playing you. So nevertheless, it was great. So I am so excited, so grateful that you came all the way from Norfolk. Listen, if you do not have a bank account, or if you don't know your branch manager, you don't know the tellers, you don't have a relationship, here's what I suggest. I suggest that you take you and all your direct deposits and head over to Atlantic Union Bank on 21st Street in Norfolk and talk to Arwen. If you are a business owner, you want to have a banker that cares and wants a relationship with you, that will take the time out. I promise you, every time I've reached out to her, and I do not bank business or personal with Atlantic Union Bank yet. But yet and still, she communicated with me when we met. She followed up with me. We've had several conversations. She's introduced me to people to help plan you, sponsor events, all types of things. So I'm telling you, this is not a show or anything. This is truly who she is as a branch manager. And I'm sure on a Thursday before a holiday weekend, there's so many other things that this beautiful lady could be doing, but she is here in Hampton at the Peninsula Town Center with us. So I am so grateful. And if you don't have any other questions or you catch the replay, please write down questions and reach out to her. I'm gonna let her have the final words, but you know we do this every fourth Thursday. We have different subjects that we speak on. The next subject we're going to speak on in September is going to be about articulation. You say, why is that important? Because if you cannot communicate your message, whether it's a personal message or your business message, if you cannot develop your own elevator pitch or your personal mission, vision, and purpose as a person, then you're going to have a hard time going and elevating to the next level. So we are going to learn how to communicate. And we don't want you to learn via Facebook. We stream for convenience for people that are in other states. We want you in the building. We only have 25 seats that we can have. That's our capacity. So we want you there. And we don't want you to say you're coming, and then on the day of, you don't show. That is not cool. We could allow somebody else to take that slot. Okay? But nevertheless, thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it over. Edith, do you have anything? Hope already told me no. Regina?
I don't.
Okay, we're gonna turn it over to Arwen, and we are so appreciative of her. We thank her, and you guys will see her hopefully at the Well Woman Experience Conference, March 14th and 15th. And we decided we're just gonna go back to the Hampton Roads Convention Center and have everything there. So we have books. We are on the calendar. March 14th and 15th is locked and loaded. We will be there. So we will see you, and we are Grace for Purpose. Listen, we're going to allow her to say everything that she wants to say, and we will see you next month.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It was a very nice hour of sharing here today, and hope I was able to impart a little bit of wisdom and knowledge and tips and tricks. Reach out to Renita. Am I saying your name right?
Renita.
Renita. If you would like my contact information, but again, I'm on 21st Street in Ghent, Atlantic Union Bank. My email is my name, arwen.carmouche@atlanticunionbank.com. If you have a quick question, you can email me. I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. Be happy to help anybody with any types of financial literacy or just understanding how finances work in a very basic way. So thank you for your time. And you guys have a great evening and good luck with everything. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That was awesome. That was so much information.
Thank you.
Like,